It's always a party at Patchworks. Let's get this party started. Woot woot. Hi everyone, this is Julie from Patchworks, and I am so excited because we have an action-packed Aurifil Club to share with you today. Aurifil Club is a monthly club that features Aurifil Color Builders, which are 3 color-coordinated spools that has designer inspiration. We pair it with fabric, we learn techniques, and have lots of fun. Today, I am super excited because we are going to be doing some improvisational sewing. I have my sewing machine out, I have a cutting mat, I have a pressing board, I have my super duper steamer. We're going to have a ton of fun. So, before we get started with that, I want to introduce the colors to you, and I always like to read to you the wonderful description on the back of the box, because during this collection building of these threads, we're traveling to Italy, and today we are traveling to Capri, as this is Capri Teal. The sun shines above you while your sailboat gracefully cuts through the water, creating soft ripples, scattering schools of fish below. Your eyes scan the rocky shoreline, a parade of jagged structures that serve as a stark juxtaposition to the clear and crisp water, highlighting various shades of teal that stretch out toward the horizon. You can feel the salt on your skin, soon to be a reminder of your day at the sea. Colors: 28, 35, 1148, and 4093. All beautiful 50-weight spools on the large spool. Super pretty, super fun. And today we are matching with it 3 beautiful solids. The solids that we're using today are Free Spirit solids from the Tulip Pink palette. They're new to us, and it was so exciting that we are able to showcase them with this thread box. So the colors are Sea Breeze, Julep, and Aegea. So beautiful names. They pair well with the Tulip palette. They pair beautifully with the colors of this box, and they are the colors that we're going to use in our designer inspired block today. So let's take a peek at the designer inspiration today. The designer inspiration is Green Grotto by Nicholas Ball. And Nicholas Ball is a designer from Quilts from the Attic, and he does a lot of improvisational piecing with curves. Now, his block is really amazing and is an excellent exercise in improvisational piecing. We played with 3 pieces of fabric, inserting 2 curves. We have a sample here that's a smaller block. This is going to finish 8 inches. And I have cut some pieces here to create a 12-inch finished block with you today. In his inspiration, he says that this block is the interpretation of the shimmering waters of Capri's coast, with teals and aquas of the sea reflecting the gray of the stone caves. I hope you are as inspired as I was by the grottos of Capri and enjoy making this block. I'm reading from this sheet here. If you have never been to the Aura Buzz website, Aurifil posts all of these beautiful things here. So if you participate as a monthly club member with us, you will get the thread, the fabric, and the sheets. But if you just want to join in at home with the inspiration, go to aurabuzz.com for this month's designer inspiration. As we are making this, so before we start, the improvised nature of the block makes it difficult to give exact fabric measurements. So we are just going to play with things. The important thing is that we're going to create a block that finishes 12 inches to match with the other blocks that we've created along the way. So what we're going to do is that we are going to start with some larger pieces of fabric. So I went ahead and I prepared by pressing, starching, and trimming into general sizes. You can see I still have the selvage on the side because we're going to be trimming this block down after we're done. It is important before we get started that we do starch our pieces to give them a little bit more body and help with the bias to make it easier to stitch. Remember, if you are starching, you do want to spray generously, and then you are going to pause, maybe walk away, have a cup of coffee, come back, and then press. If you spray and press right away, you're going to flake off your starch and it's not going to have the body that you would like. Okay, so we're going to have lots of fun here. Doing the improvisational piecing, we are not using any curved rulers. We are just being really artistic. So that is so much fun. And hopefully, as we're doing this in real time with you, we will do this successfully. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to position how we want the fabrics to be. Okay, so we're going to do it kind of like our sample that we did, where we have the light, the medium, and the dark. Okay, we're going to do each of them separately. So to get started, let's start with the top part. I'm going to position them this way so that I can cut away from me. I'm putting my top fabric on the bottom. I'm overlaying them. So I'm overlaying them, and I'm just going to scoot this down so that we don't cut our curve too far in. So I'm going to then be able to cut my curve in the space between here. Okay, now we're kind of going for it. We need to be careful. Use a smaller cutter, 45 millimeters or smaller. Make sure you have a nice sharp blade. And we are going to simply make some nice gentle cuts. All right, so it's kind of scary. It might shift a little. We're going to take this piece off and this piece off. Okay, now this sews to that. We are going to put our right sides together, and this is a little artistic here, so we are not going to be pinning. I know, when we precision piece, we pin all the time. We're going to hop over to our sewing machine, and hopefully we can get a good look here. This is the first time that we're doing this look, so hopefully we have it down all right. Now, before we get started, we want to decrease our stitch length. I'm not going to move the camera to show you that because I think we have a good spot here. I normally have it at normally at 2.5. I'm going to turn it down to 1.5 so that it's a little bit tighter as I go. I'm going to do an approximate 1/4 inch, and we are going to sew very slowly. Okay, so I lined it up here. I want to make sure that when I'm sewing I have my needle down, if you have that availability. Okay, and I am just guiding this along. Very slowly. And you see here how I'm moving this top fabric ever so gently? Now, 12 inches is a long way, and actually since we're doing a 15 to trim down, it's even longer. One of the really cool things about this is that after you do it a little bit, you're going to be able to play with this and just keep doing lines upon lines upon lines. And that's how Nicholas got his, because he actually stitched over some of his lines. Do you see here how I'm moving the fabric? If I need to, I can always just stop and raise my presser foot. What I encourage you to do after you've watched it the first time and you want to make it along with me, what you should do is actually have me on next to you, and then you can try to do this at the same time as me, okay? Watch me once first, and then try doing it with me. All right, so let's see how good we're getting. Now, you see here that our edges don't match exactly. Because we're doing something super artsy, we're not worried about it. If you were doing something like a drunkard's path or something that was a precision piecing, you totally would be worried, and you'd want to make sure that you would match things up. Okay, so hey, that looks pretty good. Before we knew, but you can see here that it's a little wonky, and that's all right. We're going to go ahead and press this, and you're going to want to use steam. I'm going to put my pressing board on top here. This isn't a pretty board, it's just our functioning board that I brought down. And you can see here that the curve wants to lay down, and that's all right. So you can either, maybe we'll go like this so that I can manipulate the fabric a little bit. So I have a big steam iron that has a steam generator. Don't be scared, it might make a lot of noise. Whew. All right, so we are just going to steam this into submission. So that's actually a term that Nicholas uses as well. Now, when we're precision piecing, we're not steaming into submission, right? But with an art project like this, it is super fun. And look at how flat this lays. Oh my goodness, this is just so smooth and easy because we did some nice, gentle curves. Fun. So now we're ready to do it again. Woohoo! Okay, so I'm going to take this off. Okay, now we're back to our mat. And we're going to do this again. So we're going to layer this on. And let's see, let's go the other way. So we are going to, this is underneath, right? It's underneath by, oh goodness, several inches. You can have this be narrower or thicker, however you choose. So I'm going to go this way now. Very slowly, making sure not to cut your fingers. Remember, your rotary blade is super sharp, and I don't want anybody to get hurt, and I don't want anyone to have to go to the emergency room. Okay, so look at that, super fun. What we're going to do is we can go this way, and I'm going to start this way, and this wasn't so gentle, so we are going to have a little bit, maybe a little bit more of a challenge. But let's move over to our sewing machine again. So you'll have to let me know in the comments what you think about our new camera setup, see if it works or not, see if you want us to be doing more stuff with cameras or like this, sewing. I know we're going to be hopping back to our Cadence Court that we sort of abandoned before all of this crazy coronavirus stuff happened. So we're excited that we're going to be hopping back into that fun program that you can sew along with us. So this is a little bit deeper of a curve, so I'm pausing a little bit more. And you see with this bias, I'm able to gently stretch that around. Really fun. So you can see it doesn't take too long to do it. There's a bunch of different ways that you can make curves happen. I know there's a lot of fun rulers out there. There's some techniques where you do things a little bit more precisely and use some glue. But sometimes it's fun to play. And I know we have been kind of stuck in a little rut lately, so giving yourself permission to play is a ton of fun. And you know what? Start with some scraps. If you don't like it, then you never have to do it again. You can pick a different block for your sampler. You know, there's no pressure. But before you say you don't like it, just like with food, I always say you gotta try it. You gotta try it. And then if you try it and you don't like it, fine. You can say, I'm not doing that again. And I'll say, okay, that sounds like a good plan. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, I'm excited. Oh. Okay, now you see I got off a little bit so I didn't match everything up perfectly, and that's okay because we are playing. All right, so we're going to hop back over to our board, and what did we do? How does this look? Dun, dun, dun. Oh, super cool. So you can see this is pretty giant. This is going to be really easy to trim down to 12.5 to finish 12. So we're going to flip it over, and the way that my curves go, they're both going into the medium color. So let me put our pressing board back up. And when I'm pressing, I have my right sides on top. I'm going to gently finger press down how I want my seam to lay. And then we are going to steam it into submission. So the biggest trick of this is that rather than cutting the curve with everything right sides together, you are going to be cutting with that layer on top of each other. So that is the biggest trick that you're going to have to do. And when I started practicing for this, I actually had cut wrong, and so I had to start over again. Just that would be something to look out for. Okay, so here we have our beautiful block that measures a lot. And what we're going to do now is trim it down. So I have, since we are Tula inspired, I thought, what a better way than to use the super awesome Tula rulers. So I have here the square Tula set that comes with a 12.5, a 8.5, a 6.5, and a 4.5. This set has the fussy cutting X's. It has the anti-skid grip with a unicorn, which is super awesome. The acrylic is tinted pink. And you also have a 1/4-inch seam allowance skid so that you can see if you're fussy cutting to make sure that everything comes out just right in the center. So this one here is 12.5, and I think this is how I'm going to position it. So when you are using a square ruler, one of the things that I like to do is actually reposition. So you don't want to go and cut and come towards yourself. You want to be safe about it. So what I probably should do, I'm just going to hop over to get my movable mat here. And so if you have a rotating mat, that is perfect. If you have a smaller mat, I recommend you doing that so that you can move either your mat or your body. But because we are on a little set here, I'm limited, so we're going to move the mat. So we're cutting perpendicular to ourselves. And I'm going to cut. And now I'm going to move my mat. Okay? So it would work much better if you have a rotating mat, which we do have available if you need one. I just didn't position one by my station here. Dun, 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 dun. Always be safe, okay? You don't want to have to hear my emergency room story with me and the rotary cutter. It's no fun and very expensive. Okay. Oh, I'm so excited. This is so, 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 so pretty. Let me scoot this up here so that you can see it. Look at that. Isn't that awesome? That was super fun. So we could continue before we trimmed it down by putting in more curves. You could even put in compound curves, which is what Nicholas did in his. And if you wanted to, you could even play by putting in some fun other fabric. Ooh, like take a look at this vintage Wanderer piece from Tula piece from the Chipper line, where these teals beautifully match with the solids. So I hope you had fun with us today. We played with some improvisational piecing and had some free-form curves, which turned out pretty good. If you're going to be doing that, starch is really, really helpful, and steam is your friend. Take your time and make sure to make time to play. If you are not a member of our Aurifil Color Builders Club, we do have some Capri Teal boxes and fabric packs available for you. And if you think this is a really fun journey and you've watched some of our previous YouTubes and you would like to participate, we do have previous as well as future box will be available in the coming months. Thank you for joining us. See you soon and happy quilting.